Good morning. I like to start in 2 minutes. Okay. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Mag-uumpisa na tayo. Paalala ng inyong problem set ay una na-distribute na naipamahagi na sa inyo, ibig sabihin na-announce na. May kaunti tayong pagluluwag. Ngayon ay pinapayagan na namin kayo na mag-collaborate para sa pagsagot sa problem set. Naisip namin kasi na baka mas makatulong sa pag-aaral ninyo if you work in groups legally kasi supposedly this is independent, no? Pero let's encourage working together, not during an exam but during a review session. So this is, since the problem set is designed to be an instrument for you to review, then it would be helpful to collaborate with each other. You just have to indicate who you worked with, you know? And then but you have to submit it individually. But it's not a group, not a group submission. So you can work together. You can, but you'll have to submit your individual problem sets because they would have to be graded. Kasi malay natin, no, baka biglang may idagdag kayo dun sa problem set ninyo na habang isinasubmit nyo, naisip nyo, ay mali pala yun, o di may adjustment. But nevertheless, I think that as pointed out by the teaching fellows, it would be helpful for you to work together as a group, not during the exam. All right, let me emphasize, you cannot work with anyone during the exam. And I think that that's kind of obvious. I mean, it's not rocket science to know that you're supposed to be working independently when you're taking an exam. Speaking of which, the exam is next week. So we're inching our way towards the end of the semester. I'm pretty excited about the end of the semester. So, this is the first step. The first exam is going to be next week. I think it's March 12th. So be prepared. I hope that the problem set helps you. Okay, given that we only have so many meetings left to finish, pretty much 3 chapters. So we're going to be quick. All right, sige. Having said that, then let's begin. We'll pick up from where we left off last time, which is chapter 2. Medyo magiging mabilis, ha? So I suggest very strongly that you attend your discussion classes because that's where the time that you can ask your teaching fellow to help you review and help you go through the subject matter again. Okay, sige, let me share. Stop video ako kasi nag-hang itong screen ko kapag pagka hindi tap. Okay, so alright. So balikan natin ng konti, no? So sabi natin balikan natin ng konti yung pag-aaral, pinag-aralan natin. I think okay. Natatandaan yun, pinag-usapan natin the market and the 3 economic problems. I think ang iniwan natin na tanong last time was, partly sinagot ko na rin naman, which is that, what the hell? Dali, ha? Sobrang balik nito. Balikan lang natin sandali yung ating pinag-aralan last time, which is ay nako, gulo nito. Sandali lang, ha? And show. Alright, dito tayo sa how does the market result in consumption and production efficiency? So kung matatandaan nyo, inulit-ulit ko to, no? There are several ways that the market can be organized. I'm sorry, that the economy can be organized. One is through command and control, which is a central body that determines what the answers are to the three questions. And then there's the market, and then there's the mix. Pure market, and then there's the mix. Now, ang tanong is, okay, we talk about the market so much, but why? Why do we favor it? Because it has been found that the market, or having an organization that is more market-oriented, results in consumption and production efficiency. No? So ano ibig sabihin ng consumption and production efficiency? Ibig sabihin, pag sinabing consumption efficiency, ibig sabihin, yung mga tao o yung mga consumers who value the good most, they get the good. They're able to access the good, and those who don't value it as much don't get as much. Don't get more quantities than the others. Kasi that's efficient, di ba? Ba't mo naman ibibigay sa isang taong wala namang hilig doon? Ba't ka magbibigay ng tsokolate sa isang taong allergic sa tsokolate? Di ba? So sayang lang. So in terms of consumption efficiency, pag sinabing consumption efficiency, yung good ay allocated doon sa mga tao, consumers, na makaka-appreciate nun the most. Okay, pag sinabi ng production efficiency, ito yung walang sayang. Parang walang sayang din naman yung consumption eh. Kasi pagka hindi appreciated yung good, itatapon lang yon. Pag production efficiency, ibig sabihin naman, for a limited amount of resources used to produce something, the most quantity of the good is produced. No? Walang masyadong sayang, walang masyadong tapon. And it is because of this, no? Because of yung bargaining between buyers and sellers, which is facilitated by the market, that consumption and production efficiency are achieved. No? And this is consistent with the invisible hand that was proposed by Adam Smith noong 18th century, no, sa kanyang Wealth of Nations. Si Adam Smith is considered the father of economics. At dito sa idea ng invisible hand, o kaya tinawag invisible hand, kasi wala namang nagmamando sa market, and yet consumption and production efficiency are achieved. And how is that possible? Kasi nga, when consumers and producers bargain, and then walang equal footing sila, no? Walang may mas malakas kaysa sa kabila. Kasi pag may mas malakas kaysa sa kabila, may matatalo. So ibig sabihin merong ma-overwhelm, hindi magpa-function yung market properly. Kailangan for the market to function properly, everyone has to be on equal footing. Everyone has to have the same information. Walang political power. Ibig sabihin one doesn't have more power than the other. Walang may influence sa price, no? Hindi niya kayang impluwentahan ng price, and the price is solely determined through demand and supply. Okay, so invisible hand, walang nagmamando, walang gobyernong kinakailangan. Now, yan ang sinasabi, yan ang tinutukoy doon sa invisible hand na pinapropagate o pinangunahan ni Adam Smith. Now, the market's always perfect. And can markets fail? No, the markets are not always perfect. And can the markets fail? Yes, they can. And the reason the way that they fail or they become imperfect is precisely by violating the conditions that I just mentioned. Na wala dapat may political power, wala dapat na merong influence sa price. No? Kasi sa market, sa pure market, the price is determined through bargaining between buyers and sellers. Parang sa palengke, di ba? Pag punta ka sa palengke, tumatawad yung bumibili, tapos magparing pagbigyan o hindi pagbigyan ng tindera. At nagkakasundo sila sa presyo. Ganun dapat ang price setting. On the other hand, kapag merong intimidation o merong kapangyarihan yung isa, either through political power or maybe through size, no? So, pag sinabing ang laki-laking kasi siya, masyado siyang malaking buyer, malaking siyang seller, then magkakaroon ng influence sa price. And kapag nagkaroon ng ganung sitwasyon, the market, or one of the reasons kung bakit the market will fail. Okay, so reasons why markets fail. Una is yung tinatawag na externalities, na something na pag-aaralan natin later on. May dalawang tipo ng externalities, yung tinatawag na positive at saka negative externality. Alright, pag-aaralan natin to later on. Pero yung externalities, positive externality, there's something wrong with my pen. Positive versus negative. Alright, something wrong with my pen. Natin. Alright. There's something, so ito pwedeng maging positive. Pag sinabi kasing externalities, yan ay unintended, no? So hindi siya sinasadya. Pag sinabing positive externality, ibig sabihin nito ay unintended benefit. Pag sinabi namang negative externality, ito ay unintended cost. So ano ibig sabihin, anong example ng positive externality? Halimbawa, yung hindi naman ikaw ang bumili pero nakikinabang ka. Halimbawa, may concert. No? May concert na ang lakas-lakas at paborito mo yung singer, pero yung concert na yun, paid concert yun. Kaya lang, open air siya. So ibig sabihin, kahit na hindi ka nagbumili ng ticket, mapapakinggan mo siya. So, pag sinuman natin yung benefit nun, dapat lahat lang ng bumili ng tickets ang makikinabang doon sa pagkanta ng singer. Pero dahil malakas, dahil sa nature ng good na tinatawag, dahil sa lakas ng kanyang pagkanta, naririnig mo at nasisiyahan ka kahit hindi ka nagbayad. That's a positive externality. And later on, ipapaliwanag ko how the markets fail kapag may positive externality. Kapag negative externality naman, yan yung merong unintended cost. Halimbawa, may harm to others. Sa production, halimbawa, may pollution. Pollution is a type of negative externality, no? Kasi hindi naman intended, cost. Hindi naman, ang mga factories naman, mga firms, hindi naman yan nagigising sang araw sabi niya, magpupulit ako. Hindi, it goes to work. I mean, they operate the factory with the intention of producing goods. Kaya lang, meron silang residuals na tinatawag o mga basura o mga natitira, no? Hindi kasi hindi complete ang production process. Laging merong may natatapon konti, no? Depende. Ngayon, kapag harmful yung residual na yon, it's called an negative externality kasi nakakasakit siya sa iba. Alright, so nakakamaring dumumi ang tubig, dumumi ang hangin, etc. So, kapag may presence ng externality, the market will fail because the cost and benefits are not complete. Hindi reflected lahat sa demand function or sa supply function, lahat ng benefits and costs. Kasi for the market to work, your demand function should reflect all of the benefits and your supply function should reflect all of the costs. Kapag merong positive or negative externality, then either your demand function or your supply function is understated. So the market will fail kapag ganun ang sitwasyon. Alright, ano pang isang dahilan? Kapag merong imperfect competition. Later on, pag-aaralan natin ang pagkakaiba ng perfect at saka imperfect competition. Pero pag sinabing perfect competition, yun yung katulad ng sinabi ko na kanina, yung pure market, na walang may influence, lahat sila pare-pareho ng size, sabi lahat ng firms, lahat ng consumers pare-pareho ng size. Walang merong tinatawag na market power. Kapag nagkaroon ka ng market power, then that's imperfect competition. Kasi dapat pantay-pantay lang kayo. And the only way that price and quantity will be determined is through bargaining. Bargaining among equals. If it's a bargaining among non-equals, imperfect competition yon. And that's the situation when the market fails. Okay? Alright, so later on pag-aaralan din natin yan in more detail. The other is the nature of the good. Kasi the market can only work if the good is something that when bought, all the benefits from the good will only accrue to the one who bought it. So so most goods are like that, yung tinatawag na private goods, no? Yung ibig sabihin, there's something wrong with my pen, it's not working as efficiently. Anyway, private goods. Pag private goods yan, the market will work. Kasi pag sinabing private good, ibig sabihin, pag binili mo yan, ikaw lang, since ikaw ang bumili, ikaw lang ang makikinabang dun sa good na yon. Pero may mga goods na tinatawag na, for lack of a better term, public goods. Ibig sabihin, kahit hindi ka nagbayad for that good, maaari kang makinabang. In other words, pwede kang magkaroon ng positive externality because of the nature of the good. Halimbawa, bumili ang karagatan. Kaya hindi mo pwedeng ibenta ang karagatan sa sa market kasi napakalaki niya, and you can't prevent others from enjoying the sea or the portion of the water or the marine life in that area, even if you pay for the ocean, for the sea. Yung nature of the good, yung parang lahat pwedeng ma-access, the market will fail kasi the market can only work if those who bought the good are the only people that can enjoy the good. All right? Okay. So those are the basic three reasons why or how the market can fail. So when the market fails, the government has to step in. To do what? Diba? Invisible hand nga eh. Pero ngayon, kapag the market fails, hindi na maaaring umubra ang invisible hand. So the government has to step in. Kasi dun sa konsepto ng laissez-faire na tinatawag, laissez-faire. Susulat ko na naman yan, laissez-faire. Alright? Yung government is not needed. No? Pero kapag the market fails, then the invisible hand doesn't work and the government has to step in. To do what? Anong gagawin ng gobyerno? Bakit siya kailangan? Alright. Okay, so when the markets may lead to efficiency but not necessarily to equitable distribution of goods. Okay, una sa lahat, balikan natin muna to. What does the government have to, what does the government need to do when the market fails? It has to correct the market. Somehow it has to bring back the conditions that the market needs in order for it to work. The government doesn't come in and perform the functions of the market unless it's command economy. Kasi sa command economy, it's the government that decides on everything. But if it's a market economy, trying to utilize the power of the market for efficient consumption and production efficiency, dapat minimal ang participation ng government. And yan yung minimal na yon. It only comes in to correct imperfections in the market. Halimbawa, may market power, pwede niyang i-intimidate yung let's say yung buyer, no? Kaya niyang i-intimidate yung seller para bigyan siya ng mas mababang presyo. Then the government steps in and then says na pagka ginawa mo yan, papakulong kita. Kailangan pare-pareho kayo ng influence sa market. So kapag may externality, kapag may pollution, may harm, the government can come in and say, kayong mga nagpo-pollute, bayaran nyo yung nasasaktan, bayaran nyo yung napinsala dahil sa inyo. No, kapag may positive externality naman, pwedeng pumasok ang gobyerno at sabihin, oy, nakikinabang kayo, magbayad kayo. Alright? O kapag din naman dahil sa hindi nila mapupwersa, dahil hindi mapupwersa magbayad, maaaring ma-discourage yung mga producers kasi hindi kailangan magbayad in order to enjoy the good kasi may positive externality nga. Then the government can come in to pay for the good using taxes. So mahalaga ang role ng government sa isang mixed economy na kasi pagka may participation ng government, mixed economy na siya. Ibig sabihin, we try to utilize the power of the market, but we recognize that there are imperfections that are present and the government has to step in to initiate regulations in order to make sure that the market works. Okay. Another thing that's important to note is that while the market may lead to efficiency, it does not lead to equity. Okay. Ano ba tong efficiency versus equity? Kasi sa isang bansa, while we do want efficiency, kasi efficiency will lead us to growth, to economic growth. Efficiency will make us produce more, make more money for those that participate in transactions, etc. Yung mga negosyante, etc. But there is poverty in the world. There is poverty in any society. Pag-uusapan natin later on why there is poverty. Pero because there's poverty, there are some people who may not be able to afford to buy the basic goods and services or to buy yung access to education, access to healthcare. So may balance ka ngayon. Meron kang sinasagot na katanungan about efficiency. Pero hindi mo pwede, kung ikaw ang gobyerno, hindi natin pwedeng talikuran yung tanong na papaano naman yung wala, papaano naman ang mahihirap. Ito naman yung equitable. Pag sinabi namang equitable distribution, kasi kapag inequitable ang distribution, then lahat ng goods nasa isang sector lang. At yung ibang sector, yung mga walang pambili, wala silang access. Paano kung pagkain yon? Ibig sabihin kung may pera ka lang, tsaka ka makakabili ng pagkain. So, especially for basic goods and services such as food, shelter, education, healthcare, hindi po pwedeng just to rely on the market. While the market may deliver efficiently, there has to be something done for those who cannot afford it. Kasi you just can't leave these people to die. So yung efficiency and equity, binabalance yan. No? So paano mong masasagot yung efficiency, which is necessary for the market to grow. Kasi without efficiency, your market, your economy will always be like a flat tire. No, it's like excuse me, driving or traveling with a flat tire. No? It's not fast. Hindi siya nagiging malago. But at the same time, kailangan i-balance mo kung sino yung nakasakay. No, ang makakasakay lang ba doon sa kotse ay yung yung may-ari ng kotse. Maaring sabihin, may-ari lang ng kotse. Kaya lang, paano yung halimbawa pilay, hindi nakakalakad. Pasasakayin mo pa rin yun under specific hindi naman conditions but situations. Okay? Alright. So, sa isang modern economy, sige, pag-aaralan natin yan. So, ito naman ang characteristics ng isang modern economy. So, modern economy has a central role in, money has a central role in a modern economy. So, katulad ng sinabi ko, isang characteristic ng isang market economy ay yung efficiency, na kailangan i-balance sa equity. Ano pa ba ang ibang characteristics ng isang modern market economy? Money is used in a modern economy to facilitate exchange. Okay. So, ang modern economy, hindi na barter. Bakit hindi efficient ang barter? Kasi mabagal yun. Ang laki ng transactions cost ng barter. Kasi meron kang gatas, kailangan mo ng bigas. Hahanap ka pa ng isang magbibigas na nangangailangan din ng gatas para pumayag siya na magkaroon kayo ng exchange o magkaroon kayo ng pagpapalitan, di ba? So yung proseso na yon, kung barter lang ang paggagamitan natin, mabagal at matagal at mataas ang transactions cost na tinatawag. May search cost pa yan eh. Hahanapin mo pa siya, etc. May oras yon, kakain pa ng resources, etc. No, kapag money is like a universal but it's a universal currency. It's what you use to purchase goods and services. It facilitates exchange very fast. Okay, so modern economy uses money. Another is specialization. Specialization means that because there is exchange, a modern economy uses money. The second is a modern economy trades. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya closed economy na sila-sila lang within that economy or within that society. Sila-sila lang ang they try to produce everything for the community. No? Yung self-sufficiency is not a main feature of a modern economy. Specialization is a feature. Ibig sabihin, magko-concentrate sila sa production kung saan yun ang pinakalakas nila, the strength of the economy, the strength of the country. And then produce that, and then find another country that may want that the goods that they produce, and then trade. So while barter is not something that that's not a feature of modern economy on an individual basis. Trade, which is like modern day barter, it's a feature of countries, of modern economies as an aggregate, no, hindi as an individual. So ibig sabihin, maaaring tayo agricultural country, then ano yung produce natin? Something to do with agriculture. So siguro produce tayo ng bigas, produce tayo ng mais, di ba? Ng bananas, ng mga prutas, etc. in huge quantities. So we feed our people, and then the rest we trade. So pupunta naman tayo sa Japan at sabihin natin, palit tayo, makipag trade naman tayo. Bilhin niyo yung excess namin, tapos bibili naman namin yung excess nyo ng kotse, halimbawa, or cell phones, etc. So that way, countries that specialize become very good at what they do. No? So but when you become very good at what you do, then you're faster, and then the cost is lower. So by specialization, the cost of production goes down kasi you become really an expert in creating something, in producing something, and then therefore the cost will go down. Okay, so what else? Capital is important. Pag sinabing capital dito, hindi lang financial capital, but pag sinabing capital, these are goods that are used not for consumption but for production. So another feature of a modern economy, so one is money, the second is specialization, the third is the formation of capital, meaning that the country or the economy also produces goods that are not used for consumption but are used for production. So these are machines, bulldozers, machines that are used for manufacturing, used for production. So capital, there's also financial capital, but in our discussion in this class, capital refers to goods used for production. All right, financial capital is only one form of capital, money that's not used for consumption, but money that's used for expansion of businesses. That's financial capital. So capital allows for the expansion of the economy's ability to produce. You want that because that's how the economy grows. Consumption is consumption is one of the components of aggregate of a modern economy. No? One of the components of yung gross domestic product natin. But consumption is kind of it doesn't stimulate the economy as much as capital goods. Alright, formation of capital goods, and malalaman nyo to sa 100.1 kung bakit ang capital goods, yung tinatawag na investment expenditures, no, sa 100.1 pag-uusapan niya. That has a tinatawag na mas mataas na multiplier effect sa economy. It makes the economy grow faster than consumption goods because it stimulates production. It stimulates more production, expansion of the economy. All right. Now, capital is formed only when people save. Again, sa 100.1 pag-aaralan nyo yan. But when people save kasi, it's money in the bank, di ba? So when it's money in the bank, then it becomes money that's available for lending. And lending is a necessary step in expansion and in creating business because most businesses don't start with equity or full equity. Most businesses, especially the small ones, start with a loan. So if there's more capital, there's more savings in an economy, the interest rate is lower because there's more money in the bank and the interest rate is lower. The interest rate is lower, then more people will be inclined to invest not to borrow in order to invest, not to invest in a business. Kahit mga small businesses lang. So when capital is abundant, financial capital, or when savings is abundant, then financial capital is available. When financial capital is available, then your capital formation, meaning your durable goods for production, also becomes more of a reality than a dream. So now, another feature of a modern economy is that property rights are essential. Ibig sabihin, property rights yung karapatan mo over something, over a property. No? So this is the ability of an individual to own and have control over capital and land. Ibig sabihin, yung rights mo as an owner of capital, as an owner of land, an owner of a business, those are protected. All right. Why? Because if it's protected, then all of the benefits from production will only accrue to you. Diba? And that's an incentive for you to keep going. Kasi kapag yung production mo ang nakikinabang ng benefits ay kinikita ang nakikinabang iba, madi-discourage ka from increasing or from investing in business, etc. So property rights are essential in a modern economy because it creates the incentive for firms, for individuals to keep doing what they're doing. All right? Okay. Right. Now, so in a modern economy, ano naman ang role ng government? Na binanggit ko na to in general terms kanina, that in a modern economy, wherein the market is supreme. No? The market is what drives the economy. The government's role is really to keep the market functioning properly. So first is that in a modern economy, government ensures efficiency by promoting competition and elimination of externalities. Alright? So katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, the government makes sure that everyone is on equal footing, that no one has more power than the other because mai-intimidate yung katransaksyon niya. And then that externalities are eliminated, both well, especially negative externalities kasi may harm to society yun eh. So that's a cost. Pag may harm to society kasi, it's called a social cost. But for efficiency to happen, both private and social cost must be taken into account. The harm to others is a social cost. The cost of production is a private cost. No? So, ibig sabihin yung cost of production, yan yung pagbili mo ng inputs, pagbili mo ng mga accounting costs, no? Yung mga binibili mo for production. So yung labor that you hire, those are all private costs. But when your production hurts others as a result of pollution, that's a negative externality. That's a social cost. But for efficiency to happen, all costs must be accounted for, both social and private costs. Okay, so the government steps in to eliminate externalities so that the market will function properly. Because therefore, all costs are reflected. Okay. Another function of government in a modern economy is that it promotes fair distribution of essential goods and services by providing public goods. Okay, so sinabi ko kanina, paano yung mga walang pambayad, lalo na yung mga nangangailangan ng pagkain, di ba? Nangangailangan ng healthcare, ng education, di ba? Kapag kasi wala silang pera, then theoretically, just in a pure market economy, wala silang access, wala silang pambili, wala kang makakain, wala kang edukasyon, wala kang healthcare. This is where the government steps in and buys those goods, healthcare, education, food, in behalf of those who can't afford. And then they distribute these goods to the public. And that's why they're called more called public goods. That these goods and services wouldn't have been produced if not for government. Halimbawa, ang gusto ng mayayaman, no, through their money votes, ang gusto nila ay more cellphones. At kahit sila nagda-diet, ang mga mayayaman mahilig mag-diet dahil nagpapaganda ng katawan, samantalang ang mga mahihirap walang makain. So the market economy will respond to the money votes at sasabihin niya, ay, hindi naman sila kumakain eh. Hindi tayo magpuproduce ng food. Ang ipoproduce natin, mga protein shakes, ganyan. No? Hindi sila magpuproduce ng mga bigas, etc. Kasi yung mga yayaman hindi kumakain ng bigas. Kumakain sila ng protein shake, etc. etc. Nagpapalaki sila ng kanilang mga ulo, ng katawan. Alright. So pagka ganun, the market will not produce food. So walang makakain ngayon yung mga sectors na mahihirap. So the government can step in and say and tell the market, no, I want you to produce fruits and vegetables. I will buy it. The government will represent the poor and say and tell the market, the producers, produce it. I will pay for it. And then that's called the public good. So otherwise, the good wouldn't have been produced if not for government. The government has money kasi it collects taxes, di ba? Kaya nga ang taxes natin dapat talagang ginagamit sa maayos, hindi ninanakaw. Kasi pag ninanakaw mo, malaking leak yan sa economy dahil yung supposedly magagamit mo for development, to assist yung the poor, ay kinukuha pa nung mga may kaya na, nung mayayaman na, ninanakaw pa ng mga mayayaman na nasa poder. Kaya ang corruption talaga is something na hindi natin dapat palagpasin. Okay, kasi malaking leak yun. Dahil yun yung taxes na binayad natin na dapat pinambibili ng goods and services, some of which ay gagamitin ng mga mahihirap. No? They're called public goods. Yung mga pera na yan dapat ginagamit for development, hindi for private benefit. Okay. So, fair distribution of essential goods and services is done by redirecting resources to flow towards production of the good that is needed by those who do not have purchasing power, something that I just explained. But what are public goods? These are called public goods. Goods that can be enjoyed by anyone where no one can be excluded. So ang basic definition ng public good, it's available to everyone. So when the government buys something in behalf of those who can't afford, it actually becomes available to everyone, even the rich. But of course, generally, since bumili ang government nga ng fruits and vegetables, no, for the poor, that should be available to everyone. Kasi public, as long as you're a member of the public, it should be available to you. Kaya lang, basic situation is that the poor, they buy protein shakes. Hindi mo sila bumibili ng mga fruits and vegetables. No? So hindi na sila makikibahagi pa doon sa biniling public good ng gobyerno kasi nga ayaw naman nila in the first place. But then, nevertheless, public goods are supposed to be enjoyed by everyone, not just the poor. Okay. So, at the end of the day, the government ensures equity through taxation and expenditure programs. So, equity is preserved kasi pag sinabing equity, equal access, di ba? Equality na tinatawag. And equality is promoted through these government programs, by providing public goods. But how does the government finance the purchase of public goods? It's through taxation and by creating expenditure programs. Okay, so the government fosters stability and growth of the economy through fiscal and monetary policies. So there are also instances when the aggregate economy starts to behave erratically because of certain things. So, kasi maraming bagay na makakaapekto sa normal functioning ng isang economy. Yung gera na lang sa Ukraine, that has some big implications, halimbawa sa price. Kasi yung flow ng ng fuel will be affected. So maaring ma-redirect yan. Hindi kumbaga kung dapat diretso ang flow diretso ang delivery ng fuel ng mga oil, gas, or coal, or whatever energy sources, then now it has to detour. So tataas yung transportation cost. Pag tumaas ang transportation cost, that will translate into higher prices. So pagka may mga ganitong sitwasyon, the government has to step in to stabilize the price. Kasi pagka masyadong mabilis ang pagtaas halimbawa ng presyo, ang pagtaas ng presyo is not necessarily bad. It's normal. It happens talaga. Kasi may mga instances na mas mataas ang demand ng kaunti sa supply. Pero in the end, you want the change in price not to be steep. Kasi pagka masyadong matatarik, ang masyadong steep ang pagtaas ng presyo, nagkakapanik. Nagkakaroon ng instability yung economy. So the government has to step in to ensure that the prices don't change too fast and too steeply. So through fiscal and monetary policies, so something that you will discuss in 100.1, we will discuss in this class, but only in a limited discussion in a limited sense. But we will have some discussion on fiscal and monetary policies as well. Pero the government uses these fiscal and monetary policies to foster stability and growth of the economy. The government has a lot of role in the modern economy. It ensures that the market functions properly, and it also promotes equity and efficiency, as well as stability and growth of the economy. And so the role of government, we really need to choose our leaders well, because if we don't, these functions of government will not be played, or no one in government is going to do this. Kapag you have a corrupt leadership, equity through taxation and expenditure programs may not be performed. Stability and growth of the economy may be impaired. All right, so please vote wisely. All right. Okay. Now, what are the main tools of government to perform its mandate? Well, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, there are fiscal policies and instruments. Pag sinabing fiscal policies and instruments, so tandaan nyo to, there are basically two tools that the government uses. One is fiscal policy, the other is monetary policy. All right? Fiscal policies actually just refers to taxation and government spending. So the government can influence the economy, has participation in the market through taxation and government spending. No? Kasi taxation is the way for government to make revenue, but it's also used to, excuse me, it's also taxation is also used to shape behavior. Kasi let's say the government doesn't want you to smoke as much. Alright? So parang gusto ng gobyerno, because of a fear, let's say sa cancer, lung cancer, the government would like to discourage people from buying cigarettes. But it cannot prohibit, no? Kasi that's against the law. It's your right to buy cigarettes kasi legal naman siya. So, what the government can do is through sales tax. Taasan niya yung tax ng cigarettes. So tataas yung presyo ng cigarettes as a result. So that could discourage buying cigarettes. So that's one way. At the same time, the government collects revenues, which in turn is used for government programs to buy public goods. So government spending naman. So how does the government help stabilize and promote growth in an economy? By acting as as a buyer also. It does not control, it should not control the economy. It cannot, it should not, because the government is not an efficient producer. It does not engage in production because the government is not equipped to become an efficient producer. What it can do is to just become a consumer. So it buys in behalf of other consumers. Okay. Naririnig niyo ba yung construction sa likod ko? Can someone tell me?
Hindi naman po, sir. Sakto lang.
Okay. Kasi ang lakas. Anyway. Alright. The other tool of government, sandali lang, ang lakas. Sandali, I'll just shut the window. I can't wait talaga for face-to-face classes. Okay, anyway. The other tool of government to perform its mandate, other than fiscal policy, is monetary policy and instruments. Pag sinabi namang monetary policies and instruments, it's the government's control over the money supply, over the interest rate, and other policies that can affect credit conditions. That's another way for the government to perform its mandate to promote stability, economic growth, to promote equity, and to promote market, to eliminate the market imperfections through monetary policies. Pag sinabing money supply, because the government has control over money supply, kasi it can increase or decrease the amount of money that's floating around. The amount of money that's floating around determines, or partly determines, not the only the only determinant, but it partly determines inflation, price increases. Something that you will also discuss in 100.1. It's quite interesting, actually, the way that money supply affects prices. Okay, but the government can either print or borrows or lends, and then that way money supply is affected. The other is by setting interest rate. Kasi the government, through the central bank o Bangko Sentral, has the power to affect interest rates. Kasi nagbibigay siya yung central bank ang nagde-declare ng tinatawag na discount rate. Discount rate is the quote-unquote interest rate that banks or that banks pay for when they borrow from each other, which in turn will affect yung namang private interest rate o yung amount na the tinatawag na price of money, na kapag yung individuals naman ang nangutang, ang individual consumers nangutang, nagiging basis yung discount rate sa rate, the interest rate na babayaran naman ng mga private na nangungutang. Other policies can affect credit conditions, yung mga paghihigpit sa sa bangko, yung mga fees na binabayaran ninyo, yung mga binabayaran pala natin, may transfer fees, di ba? Pagka nag-transfer ka ng pera, etc. Those are policies that affect the monetary sector. Credit conditions and yung mga Pag yung mga requirements for borrowing, yan, those are monetary policies and instruments. Yung mga pitong kailangan bago mag-clear ang cheque mo, alas 3 muna, may clearing time, etc. Those are monetary policies that the central bank implements. Okay? All right. Other tools of government, it's like policing and regulatory powers emanate from the people. So yung capacity, yung capability ng government to enact laws and implement laws. Of course, it's policing and regulatory powers supposedly emanate from the people. Ibig sabihin, dahil binoto natin sila. So, ang example, ang mga halimbawa nitong mga regulatory powers na to ay yung antitrust law, which promotes competition, etc. But why do we want competition? Because competition results in efficiency. Ibig sabihin yung when firms are competing against each other, then they try to produce the best at the lowest price. In the absence of competition, quality is compromised. So tingnan nyo yung ating telecommunication. Kasi dadalawa lang sila, Smart and Globe. So medyo mahal at medyo pangit ang kanilang service. Now, as even sa di ba yung network, no? Kapag iisa lang ang network, wala ka ng choice, yung pinapanood mo lang mga basurang palabas. Kasi walang competition, wala ka naman ibang pupuntahan. So competition enhances quality and promotes lowest price. So that's why we want competition. Other examples of the regulatory powers of government is the anti-pollution law, yung this is for externalities, yung progressive taxation, ibig sabihin yung how are people going to be taxed, no? So ibig sabihin the wealthier you are, the more you get taxed, no? Yan yung mga yan ang isang paraan para magkaroon ng equity kasi the more you have, but you cannot tax too much kasi that will discourage incentives. So kailangan i-balance din yan, balansehin din ng gobyerno yung progressive taxation kasi you cannot just infinitely tax the most productive, who happen to be also the richest, kasi that could discourage incentives to expand production. Alright, the other is fiscal spending. So ito yung macroeconomic stability. Pag sinabing fiscal spending, the government buys or acts like a consumer. So, all right. So that ends chapter 2. And so we proceed with chapter 3. So hinga ng konti. Kaunting panahon na lang naman tayo. May natitira na lang tayong around 15 minutes. So we'll just start chapter 3. All right. Dito sa chapter 3, pag-uusapan na natin yung mas detalye o mga pag-uusapan natin ng medyo mas malalim yung mga elemento ng demand and supply. So alam na natin ang market, napag-aralan na natin what the economy is about, what are the questions that economics tries to answer, what are the three types of economic organization, or three types of economies, yung command and control or command economy, you have your market, and then you have the mix. Then pinag-usapan na natin yung equity, efficiency criteria, role ng government, and what are instruments that are available to government. Okay, so yan ang pinaka-intro natin, the first 2 chapters. The third chapter now is going to be more about the nuances of this concept of demand and supply. No? Kung susuriin nating mabuti, ang pinaka sigurong popular o pinaka-sentro ng pag-aaral sa economics ay demand at supply. No, dito itong fundamental concepts na to, dito nagsisimula ang lahat ng mga pag-aaral na gagawin natin sa demand at supply. So susuriin natin yan in turn. Okay. Alright, so keep in mind, katulad nung pinag-usapan natin yung production possibilities frontier, no? Tastes and preferences, resources and technology are the main basis of an economy. So taste and preference actually refer to demand. Resources and technology refer to supply. These are the main or the backbone of an economy, the main basis of the study of an economy. No? So susuriin natin how taste and preferences could change demand, how resources and technology could change supply. Okay, to fully understand markets, market-based economies, and the forces that shape prices and output, we must understand the principles behind supply and demand analysis. So, sa pag-aaral natin sa economics, ang isa sa main question, isa sa mga main questions na sinasagot natin is what will the price be? What will the price of the good be? And how much quantity of the good will be produced? Kasi whatever that price is, that corresponds to a certain level of output. No, hindi ano, one is to one ang matching niyan. Kung ano yung, if the price is 10, the supply of the output that will be produced by the economy, demanded and supplied, is going to be, let's say, 100. Hindi nagko-cross yan. Alright? So, unique yung price at saka quantity, the output that's produced by the economy, the quantity that's produced by the economy, unique yan, 1:1. Okay, ang question is, how are the prices and output determined? Okay, so una, let's talk about the demand curve or the demand schedule. What is it? Well, the demand curve in its most basic definition is the locus of all points that show the relationship between prices and quantity. What is bought, what is or demanded, demande, kulang ng D, what is bought and demanded, and how many. All right, that is essentially what the demand curve is. Diba? It shows you, kung matatandaan nyo, o yung familiarity nyo sa demand curve, it's downward sloping. No? So ang nasa vertical axis is price, ang nasa horizontal axis ay quantity. Ang relationship between price and quantity is downward sloping or negative. Ibig sabihin, when prices increase, demand declines. When price declines, demand grows, which is logical. Diba? Kasi kapag ka mas mahal, you buy less. Kapag mas mura, you buy more. Diba? In your daily lives, you know that this is true. All right. So now the demand curve shows you all of these points that relate or that show the relationship or that show you the one-to-one correspondence between price and quantity. In its basic mathematical expression, wag matakot, quantity demanded, which is Q, is equal to A plus kaya siya negative B plus P. Negative B times P. So kung titingnan nyo tong equation na to, all right, this equation relates price and quantity. It tells you how much quantity will change when price changes. So since negative ito, what is negative B? This is the slope. And it's negative because the relationship between price and quantity demanded is negative. Kaya negative yung slope mo. Alright? Now, so ibig sabihin dito sa equation na to, habang tumataas ang price, kasi negative yung slope, no, negative yung kanyang sign, ibig sabihin habang tumataas yung price, bumababa ang quantity. Diba? That's what the negative sign tells us. Okay. So ibig sabihin, kapag ka naman bumababa ang price, tumataas ang quantity. Which is logical, no? Intuitively, alam natin yan. Intindihan natin. But what is A? A, mathematically, is the intercept. No? Kung do-drawing natin yan, tingnan nyo itong maliit na graph na dinodrawing ko. Yan ang demand curve, di ba? So it shows you that the slope is what? The steepness, no? How steep the curve is. No? So it tells you, pwedeng ganyan, pwedeng mas flat, di ba? Yung demand curve, pwede yan. Alright, so, kulay na natin yan. Alright, so, Itong curve na to na tinitingnan natin, itong demand curve na to, which is downward sloping, it tells you that as you increase price, alright, quantity declines. Pag tinaas mo yung price, bumababa yung quantity. Diba? Okay. But what is A? A is the intercept. Ibig sabihin, when the price is zero, it does not get any lower than zero, diba? The quantity demanded is only this much. So, pag diniretso natin itong curve na to, this is A. When the price is zero, that is the maximum amount of quantity demanded. Hindi ba pagka libre, you'll get infinite? Hindi. Kasi may satiation ka eh. Nagsasawa ka. Pagka libre ba sinabi, oh, libre na yung ice cream. Di kukunin mo ba lahat ng ice cream? Only kung may topak ka. Kasi a rational person will only take something, will only get what the amount of the good that gives him sa happiness or satisfaction. Kapag ka sobra-sobra, galon-galong ice cream na o timba-timbang ice cream na kinakain mo, susuka ka na eh. Diba? So, greed will violate this. So that's why greedy people are irrational eh. Kasi greed pushes a person to consume even more, even if the good is already causing him harm. Even if consumption of the good is already causing him harm. Greed is not a normal or a rational behavior. Kasi greed ignores the fact that eating more of the good or consuming more of the good is already harmful to you. Kasi sobra na, nasusuka ka na, sakit na ng tiyan mo, nagdadiarrhea ka na, etc. Pero hindi, kasi libre. Kakain pa rin ako. Diba? Irrational na yon. So yung A, the A in this equation pertains to the maximum consumption that a person will undertake if the good is free. Alright, if the price is zero. So that's the basic. Those are the basic components of the demand curve. So this is the demand. This is the demand function, and this represents the demand curve. Okay. So what do A, B, and stand for? We already discussed that. Why is B negative? Because it tells you that the relationship between price and quantity is negative. Okay. All right. So this is an example of a demand schedule. So let's examine this for a little bit. And that's the last point I'm going to make for the day. And we'll continue this on Thursday. No? Tingnan lang natin itong table na to. So tingnan nyo itong demand schedule na to. So yung graph na pinakita ko sa inyo kanina is a picture form of a demand schedule. This is now data form of a demand schedule. No? So it tells us what the points are. So points on the graph. Point A, the price is 5 and the quantity demanded is 9. Point B, price is 4, quantity demanded is 10. C, 3 and 12. D, 2 and 15. E is 1 and 20. All right, so this tells you that, ayan, when the price is 5, ano nga sabi natin? When the price is 5, the quantity demanded is 9. No? Ito. Oops. Here. Tingnan nyo to. When the price is 5, the quantity demanded is 9. All right? Tingnan natin. So when the price is 5, the quantity demanded is 9. Ayan. 9. Tapos susunod, when the price is 4, the quantity demanded is this much. Then susunod, tingnan natin. The price is 3, quantity demanded is somewhere between 10 and 15. When the price is 2, the quantity demanded is around 14. And when the price is 1, the quantity demanded is 20. All right. So this represents This is pag pinagdikit-dikit natin lahat yan, this is going to be the demand curve. This is Q of D is equal to A plus negative B P. Okay? All right. So, quick observations about this table, about this graph. As price goes up, quantity demanded goes down and vice versa. This is called the law of downward sloping demand. And why is the slope of the demand curve negative? Well, there are formally two reasons why. It's called the substitution effect and the income effect. Or simply, just pakiramdaman nyo why. Pag-isipin nyo mabuti, no? Something for you to think about until Thursday. Bakit kapag ka tumataas ang presyo, you buy less? Alright? And think about it. Ikaw yung mismo. Kapag bawat isa sa inyo, isipin nyo, bakit kapag tumataas ang presyo, you buy less? And then, ilapat natin yan dito sa formal reasons na tinatawag na substitution effect at income effect na gagawin natin sa Thursday. Okay? So natatapos ang ating lecture for today. We end here dito sa chapter 3. This is the basic features of the demand curve. And we will continue this discussion on Thursday. Okay? Any questions? Quickly, before I let you go? Wala naman? Okay, great.